Let's break down the polar vortex, a giant spinning mass of cold, dense air that sits high above the North Pole, swirling like a colossal icy hurricane. This powerful system is invisible to the naked eye, but satellites capture its immense presence as it circles the Arctic, shaping the weather for millions of people far below. The polar vortex is a normal winter phenomenon, acting almost like a lid or a barrier that keeps the frigid Arctic air locked up in the far north. When it's stable and strong, it holds that cold air tightly in place, preventing it from spilling southward into lower latitudes. In these conditions, the jet stream, a fast-moving ribbon of air that circles the globe, flows smoothly and steadily. This means most of us experience a typical, manageable winter, with cold spells that are expected but rarely extreme. But sometimes the polar vortex weakens, wobbles, or even splits apart. When this happens, the cold Arctic air escapes its northern prison, plunging southward and bringing sudden extreme cold to places like North America, Europe, and Asia, regions that aren't always prepared for such icy blasts. The jet stream, which normally acts as a boundary between cold and warm air, becomes wavy and unpredictable. It can dip far to the south, dragging Arctic air with it and creating wild swings in temperature. This is when you see dramatic cold snaps, record-breaking blizzards, and wild winter weather that can disrupt travel, damage infrastructure, and challenge even the hardiest residents. A strong, well-behaved vortex means milder, more predictable winters for many of us. But a weak or disrupted vortex is the real troublemaker, unleashing Arctic air and chaos across continents. This year, something unusual happened. The polar vortex started sputtering and showing signs of instability much earlier than usual. Catching meteorologists' attention, that early wobble set the stage for a winter of chaos, with powerful storms and unpredictable weather patterns already making headlines and impacting millions. The connection between the stratosphere, where the polar vortex lives, and the troposphere, where our weather happens, is delicate and complex. When that balance is disrupted, the effects ripple down to the surface, and we all feel it, sometimes in the form of sudden snowstorms or bitter cold. So, when you hear polar vortex in the news, remember, it's not just a buzzword or a passing trend. It's the powerful engine behind some of our wildest, most memorable winter weather events. And this year that engine is running off the rails, sending shockwaves through our weather systems and making winter more unpredictable than ever. So bundle up and stay alert, because we're in for a winter we won't soon forget, shaped by the mysterious and mighty polar vortex. This season, meteorologists were left in disbelief and awe by an unexpected and sudden stratospheric warming event, occurring months earlier than the usual timeline. Typically, these atmospheric disruptions make their presence felt in the heart of winter, around January or February. But this year, the stratosphere over the North Pole experienced a rapid and intense heating in late September, catching everyone off guard. That unexpected warmth led to the destabilization of the polar vortex, weakening it significantly, and even causing it to split before the onset of winter. The result of this early disruption, the jet stream, which usually acts as a guiding force, lost its stability, buckling and meandering unpredictably for weeks on end. Instead of experiencing just a few cold snaps, we're now facing a winter season characterized by persistent chaos and turbulence in the upper atmosphere. This early breakdown is a significant game-changer, setting the stage for extreme and unpredictable weather patterns across the entire Northern Hemisphere. The dominoes began to fall in autumn, and now, as October draws to a close, we're already witnessing the far-reaching consequences. This isn't just a forecast or a prediction, it's a reality unfolding right before our eyes. The early disruption means a winter of wild swings, unpredictable patterns, and record-breaking events is already underway. We're navigating through uncharted territory, with each day bringing new challenges. With the polar vortex fractured, the jet stream has lost its discipline. Instead of a straight path, it's now a wavy, meandering river, delivering wild weather swings. Deep troughs let Arctic air plunge south, while ridges pull warm air north, blocking highs. Atmospheric traffic jams stall weather systems, making cold snaps and storms last longer. This year, the jet stream's wild ride started early and hasn't let up. We're seeing record-breaking cold in one region and unseasonable warmth in another, all at the same time. The duration of these events is as impactful as their intensity. Weather patterns are stuck, leading to prolonged cold, heavy snow, or even warmth. The amplitude of these jet stream waves is staggering, creating extreme temperature contrasts. This is the signature of a disrupted polar vortex, chaos on the weather map, and it's happening right now. In the US, a dramatic disruption of the polar vortex has split the nation in two, creating a weather pattern unlike anything we've seen in recent years. This invisible force high above the Arctic is sending ripples through the atmosphere, dividing the country into two starkly different winter experiences. The East is locked in a relentless deep freeze, with cities like Chicago and New York experiencing record-early snowfalls and temperatures plunging far below seasonal norms. Streets are blanketed in white and the cold seems unyielding, forcing residents to bundle up and brace for more. Meanwhile, the West tells a completely different story. Here, unseasonable warmth dominates, with sun-soaked days and temperatures well above average. But this warmth comes at a cost. Drought conditions are worsening, and the risk of wildfires is climbing, even as winter should be bringing relief. Between these two extremes lies the central U.S., a volatile battleground where frigid Arctic air collides with warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico. This sharp divide fuels dramatic weather, making the heartland a hotspot for sudden, severe storms. The result? Powerful winter storms, blizzards, sheets of ice, and even outbreaks of severe weather that can disrupt travel and daily life in an instant. Take Denver, for example. The city can go from sunny and mild to a full-blown blizzard in less than a day, leaving residents scrambling to adapt to the wild swings. These dramatic, rapid changes are quickly becoming the new normal this winter, challenging our expectations and testing our resilience. The story of this winter isn't a single narrative. It's a tale of two extremes, with a stormy, unpredictable frontier running right down the middle of the country. The chaos unleashed in the stratosphere is driving a weather pattern on steroids, amplifying every system and making forecasts more challenging than ever. This winter, expect more of these wild, high-impact events: blizzards, ice storms, and even winter flooding, each leaving its mark on communities across the nation. It's a classic setup for a truly memorable season, one that will be talked about for years to come as families make the most of the snow and communities adapt to the extremes. For Canada, a disrupted polar vortex means a direct hit. The prairies have been locked in Arctic cold for weeks, temperatures and wind chills well below zero, even for October. The cold is widespread, stretching from British Columbia to Ontario, with early snowstorms paralyzing cities like Calgary. The Great Lakes are primed for historic lake-effect snow as frigid air sweeps over warmer waters. Farmers are racing to harvest in dangerous cold, and infrastructure is under strain. Residents say winter arrived overnight and hasn't left. This early, intense freeze is setting a harsh tone for the season. Canada is on the front line of this polar vortex disruption. The deep freeze is here to stay. Europe's winter is a roller coaster, thanks to the polar vortex's shifting fragments. When a blocking high sets up near Scandinavia, frigid Siberian air surges west. What's known as the Beast from the East, Eastern Europe and Scandinavia have already seen deep freezes and heavy snow. Meanwhile, Western Europe can swing to unseasonable warmth and rain as the jet stream shifts. The Alps saw early, massive snowfalls, then rain and avalanche risks as mild air returned. This weather whiplash is disruptive and dangerous. Europe's winter will be defined by extreme swings, brutal cold one week, spring-like warmth the next. Forecasting is a challenge, and everyone needs to be ready for anything. The key takeaway: variability is the new normal. Europe's at the crossroads of chaos this winter. To see how unusual this year is, compare it to a typical winter. Normally, the polar vortex stays strong, the jet stream flows predictably, and cold snaps are brief. This year, the early disruption has front-loaded winter, midwinter conditions before Halloween. Cold spells are longer and more intense, breaking records for both temperature and duration. Storm tracks are bizarre and unpredictable, with systems stalling or moving in unusual directions. The temperature contrasts are sharper, fueling more powerful storms. The chaos in the upper atmosphere is translating to chaos on the ground. This winter is more intense, persistent, and unpredictable than usual. The old playbook is out the window. We're in the fast lane, and there's no slowing down. Behind the data are real people facing extreme weather, truckers stranded in sudden blizzards, farmers racing to save crops from early hard freezes, and city workers opening warming centers weeks ahead of schedule. In Chicago, emergency crews are checking on vulnerable residents caught off guard by the cold. In California, firefighters are still battling wildfires as dry, warm conditions persist. The economic and human costs are mounting: lost crops, strained infrastructure, and stretched emergency services. These stories highlight the real impact of a disrupted polar vortex. It's not just about numbers, it's about lives upended. From the frozen plains of Canada to the parched hills of California, millions are affected. The weather is rewriting the rules, and people are scrambling to adapt. This winter's chaos is personal. The polar vortex is no longer an abstract concept. It's changing lives right now. So, what does it all mean? This early polar vortex disruption is a wake-up call. Scientists warn that a warming Arctic may be making these disruptions more common. As sea ice melts, the jet stream weakens, leading to more chaotic weather patterns. Our infrastructure and communities must adapt to longer, earlier, and more extreme winters. The rules of winter are changing. Assumptions about the season no longer hold. Stay informed, stay prepared, and expect volatility. This is the new reality. Or to control them child and Odin show your were warm sometimes in the same week. The polar vortex is now a household name because its instability is touching our lives. This season is a real-time lesson in our changing climate, and at the Weather Channel we'll keep tracking the storms and keeping you safe.